Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back to do another video and analysis of the Steelers' 24-20 loss in Week 3 to the San Francisco 49ers. That puts the Steelers at 0-3 for the season, and as I'm sure you've probably already figured out, this is just simply not a good enough team this year, really not even a good team in most facets of the game. You have a game where your defense forces 5 turnovers, and you still can't find a way to win. I don't know how many games you're going to win this year because to get 5 in a game is the first time it's been done by this team since 2010. Obviously, something that won't happen every single week, and you still can't capitalize against a good, but certainly not an elite 49ers team. So that's the bottom line here. I think it comes down to just not capitalizing off of turnovers, as Mike Tomlin outlined post game, and then just a continued failure on third downs. This team was 3-12 against the 49ers. They're sitting around 25% for the season. It's basically their worst start through 3 weeks on third down since as far back as the stats go in 1991. That's as far back as Pro Football Reference checks it. So just historically bad, it's fair to say, and it's accurate to say, historically bad on third down to begin this year. And I think that has a direct correlation to why this offense has struggled so much and only put up 16 points in the first half through 3 games, and why the offense in general has just looked very stagnant. And the only time they can create offense is by big plays, whether that's Juju's 76-yard touchdown today or Deontay Johnson's 38-yarder later in the game. That's the only way this offense moves right now. They can't go 10 plays. They can't be crisp. They can't be efficient. They can't put themselves in third manageable and still convert. I mean, they had times today where they were in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and they still couldn't pick up a first down. So it's not just that they're failing on first down that's setting them up for 3rd and long. It's not just that. That's conventional wisdom, but that's not always accurate with this offense. The only way they can create big plays is when they hit chunk plays, and it's just too far and few between. Not a whole lot really for me to comment on today. Rudolph got off to a really tough start. I thought he did at least show some toughness and some poise, making those throws late. That throw to Deontay Johnson was a great play to look off the safety, help create one-on-one. Whenever he gets, downfield on straight vertical balls, he does show good touch and placement and accuracy on some of the stuff. Timing routes outside the numbers, his placement does seem to wane. Decision making when the beyond the structure of the play still needs work. But I thought at least showed some toughness and kind of, made enough plays in the second half for this team to be in position to win, and obviously just couldn't come through. 2 turnovers at their own, the Rudolph pick and the Connor fumble was obviously costly, very reminiscent of the Browns game last year or the Broncos game last year. So ball security's been a big issue for him. He ran hard, but yeah, just you got to secure the football, and that was a play where he knew to secure the football too. I mean, that was a loss. He was going down and still couldn't hang on to it, and then that was obviously a killer. Offense, again, just not good enough on third down to create short drives. The offense did a minute 50 per drive today. Put your defense on the field for a lot of plays. I think defense was on the field for about 60% of the snaps today. And while I don't want to use that as the overall excuse and blame everything for this fact, but the defense is gassed, and that's what happened in Seattle, where they allowed only 7 points in the first half, and what was it, 21 in the second half, I believe, if I'm remembering the score correctly. Today they allowed what was the score at halftime? I can't remember what the score at halftime was at this point. Let me try to pull it up here. It was 6-3 at halftime, and then they allow 21 points in the second half. So I think that's not a coincidence that this defense gets gassed because of how much they're out there in the first half, and how much that wears them down throughout the rest of the game. I don't want to use that as the only excuse. They got to make plays. Run defense has got to be better. Guys got to finish plays and capitalize and tackle. And a guy like Mark Barron just looked terrible. You got penalties that are creating problems. So it's not just the offense not doing them any favors. I don't want to use that as a crutch, but I think you'd be remiss to not point out that that's a fact, that this defense is playing way more than it reasonably should. And some of that, granted, was because of the big plays. Juju, Deontay Johnson, they're quick hitters, and that's a good problem to have because your offense is finally putting up points, but it does still require your defense to get out there right away. They can't catch their breath. They can't look at tape. They can't make adjustments because they're right back onto the field. And that's another product of this offense struggling mightily like it is on third down, as your defense is just constantly on the field, and you have some injuries that start piling up. You can't rotate the inside linebacker. Hayward goes down late. You can't rotate in some of those positions. You'd like to be able to rotate guys, and that just compounds the problem. So again, I don't want to use that as the only excuse, but I think it is really a big driving reason this defense just decided to play probably more snaps than any other defense in football. I'm guessing outside of maybe I don't know, Miami, maybe. I'll have to look at the numbers whenever they come out after this week. But yeah, it's just not doing each other any favors. And still, though, whenever the Steelers turned the football over, as Tomlin said, the 49ers found the end zone. And when the Steelers offense got the football off a turnover, they were getting 6 points, 6 points off of 5 turnovers. So first time since 1981, Steelers have forced 5 turnovers and lost the game. Just really bad. Some positive notes, because we'll talk about some positive things. Juju having that big play was obviously really, really cool. Watt being a playmaker, Minka Fitzpatrick making an impact right away, 2 first half turnovers. Funny stat with that if you didn't follow me on Twitter. Minka Fitzpatrick has forced 2 turnovers in his first game as a Steeler. Steelers safeties last year forced 2 turnovers. Davis and Edmonds with a pick each, no forced fumbles. So Fitzpatrick already basically matching the playmaking ability of what the Steelers safeties did last year. Stephon Tuitt having a career year, really looked unblockable at times. And obviously, I think overall it was a positive for the defense in a lot of ways, but couldn't finish things out, couldn't make some critical plays late in the game. Barron looks, pretty bad, and I noted his coverage was pretty poor on tape, and he's getting exposed whenever he's got to play in space. Cam Hayward's been unusually quiet too. Good effort. I mean, got hurt in that game late, but really not a ton of impact in terms of the splash. It's really been Tuitt doing a lot of that, so just something to keep in mind. But go back to the offense, and the line wasn't good enough. Thought in the first half they were okay. Second half they started to fade. Villanueva, Foster. Foster looks rough in pass protection this year. His run blocking's still pretty good, but in pass pro, he's really struggling to move laterally and be able to seal these guys. And I'm seeing a worse version of him in pass pro through these first 3 weeks as I was compared to last season. But again, I mean, obviously when you're 0-3, no one's good enough. That's not, Tomlin's not good enough. Fichtner's not good enough. I didn't think Fichtner called a good game really at all. No pre-snap motion, not giving Rudolph a lot of clues. The few times he did, the offense seemed to actually have success, but just really nothing different. Just kind of lined up and hiked it. And when your offense is struggling as much as it is with a quarterback making his first career start, just not good enough. You look at the 49ers, there's always someone in motion. They got a lot of window dressing. They use one play to set up another well. I know Fichtner has some of that, but not really any window dressing. And it's just too static of an offense for any offense, I think, in 2019, let alone one that needs some sort of spark and energy, and get guys reading their keys wrong, get the defense flowing the wrong way, do something. Just not enough of that today, I thought. But again, responsibility goes everywhere from Tomlin to Fichtner to Butler, of course, to the players. And you're 0-3, and even though the AFC North is not sterling, I'm watching the Browns game right now. It's not really going to matter. This offense can't move the football. It's just painful to watch. And they're not making the playoffs this year. It's as simple as that. They may turn things around slightly and have a couple of good games at best. You still got all your AFC North football coming up. You got Cincinnati this week, but it really isn't going to matter at this point. I think that's obvious to say, but pretty safe to say at this point. When you have a young quarterback like Rudolph, and just don't seem to have it this year. Receivers still not making enough consistent plays. Rudolph again obviously had his struggles, but you guys know the story there. I'm sure you don't want to hear me go on and on about the woes of this team that are so obvious. Chris Boswell kicking well, so good job from Jordan Berry. Had a nice game today. Actually, hasn't had a career best 52 yards per punt when he's had at least 4 punts in a game. So some decent job from the specialists in that respect. But in the return game, you're not getting much. The coverage game wasn't very good today. Some penalties there too. Holton called for one. I think Burns got booted off for being a gunner for giving up a return, kind of giving an escape lane. Justin Lane replaced him. Ryan Switzer was rotating in and out of the kick return game with Holton, but no splash plays really made there in the return game or the coverage game, at least. So just not enough, not in that respect, not enough splash. But defensively, you get 5 takeaways. I mean, again, defense had their mistakes, but they created 5 turnovers, and that should be enough to win the game. I mean, even an average job by the offense wins you that game, and it was just, again, just subpar. So we'll go through it. Still a lot of these young guys to look at. I thought Devin Bush had a better game. But Dupree was pretty quiet. Did have a pressure on the Minka interception, but should have been able to dominate a 6-round rookie that he was facing a lot more than what he did. But yeah, it's just a team that's not good enough. And again, I think the lack of points off of turnovers, and then the possession downs, the third down woes are the really big things that are killing this team right now. And then, of course, we've gone through the issues with the play calling with Fichtner today, Butler in week 1, and just some of the stuff overall. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll keep doing these videos. Still a long ways to go. Still a lot to learn about this team, even if not the big picture stuff, but the small picture stuff, the micro, not the macro, of the individual players that have to step up and improve. And a guy like Deontay Johnson or Devin Bush or Minka Fitzpatrick, getting to know him more. Terrell Edmonds, as he's trying to, get ahead of steam here. His second year, not a very good day today, I didn't think, from Terrell Edmonds, but still a lot to learn about some of the individual players that'll be here next year. So hopefully you can try to regroup and get back on the right side of things next season. Though obviously that's a long ways away, and there's a lot to do in order for this team to get to that point. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you're listening on YouTube, following me on Twitter at Alex_Kozora, or following the site SteelersDepot.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.